before we start, just returning to the beginning. We're not hurting ourselves, we're not flinging up, and we're not judging or being cruel to ourselves, but we're celebrating and appreciating the fact that we've even decided to start this journey. Breath is the most important cue, and not moving or pushing through pain. Headstand, I do very, very, very ritualistically. Every single time I do headstand, even if I'm in a class, I do it very ritualistically, starting with grabbing my opposite elbows. This gives you the distance so that your arms aren't really too wide or too narrow, and you're going to have a sturdy base. So it tends to be that when you stack things, there's more support. When things are slightly off, trying to do this now, they're more likely to be unstable. So that's why you might hear your teachers saying like stack this, stack that, stack this, stack that. Just, it creates more support with less effort and less strength, but also creates less danger, essentially. So that's why we get the stacking, bringing the arms down, underneath, the elbows underneath the shoulders. Then interlacing the hands, pushing the forearms into the ground, zipping the belly button in. Really push the forearms away. So you can see here, I'll do it on my hands because otherwise I don't think you'll see. But we're on our forearms. You can see here, this is me dumping. This is me pushing the floor away. Engaging and pushing the floor away. Not doing much in particular, just kind of chilling out. So we want to have a strong frame in your shoulders. So grabbing forearms, elbows down, hands interlaced. Some people do this and cup. Some people interlace. Some people tuck their finger. If you've never done it before, you'll find like switch between the two, or you'll find that your little fingers hurt, so just tuck them away or whatever. But I just interlace my hands. Grabbing forearms, placing elbows down, interlace my fingers. Pushing the floor away, hold here for 10, push, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, keep pushing, 3, 2, 1. Lifting up, rolling the shoulders back. If that was in any way challenging for you, you couldn't hold for the 10 counts of 10, we probably did a bit longer than that if you held it from the beginning, then that is your headstand. That is the beginning and the stopping point, the pause of your headstand journey. So this is where you are, that is your headstand, and that's incredible. You've found a point to work on already. Something to refine, which is amazing. Forearms down, pushing away, creating that strength, that strong frame. And that's awesome. So you can stay for the rest of the class just to see kind of the development and how you'd work through. But please do not push yourself for the sake of wanting so badly, or ego or expectation. Remember your promise to celebrate your headstand in whatever it looked like. That's your headstand. Okay, next round. Taking our ritual. Even in classes, do this. Don't let anybody rush you, especially not yourself. We're the worst culprits. We're the worst culprits for pushing ourselves and having such great expectations of ourselves and rushing ourselves that you are probably the person that you should be not ignoring, but you know what I mean. Don't let even yourself rush yourself, because I really highly doubt there's anyone in the room right now or ever going, do it quicker, do your headstand quicker. Why haven't you done it yet? It's you, more than likely. So take your ritual, grabbing opposite elbows, interlacing fingers. Now we're placing the top of the head down onto the mat. And I see this a lot. I don't know whether it's in class or the pressure of someone watching you, but this is not the top of your head. This is not the top of your head. I'll come a bit closer. This is not the top of your head. I see people come down onto their heads like this and then try to kind of balance on the top of their head. This is the top of your head. So take the heel of your hand to your, in between your eyebrows, and then where your like middle fingertip lands, and maybe your 3 middle fingers, that's the top of your head. Or you can take the heels of your hands above your ears, and then where your middle fingers and your 3 middle fingers meet, that's the top of your head. This flat part is the top of your head. That's what's coming down. And then when you interlace your hands, you're kind of grabbing the bit just before the bean. So the bean, the technical name, I'm a yoga teacher, not a doctor. The technical name, the bean, there's, for most people, like a diagonal bit there. So you're interlacing around that bit. And we'll be taking this pose a little bit. I like to call it like closing the business deal, like you're leaning back in your chair, or the sunbather. So we'll be taking that bit, but that's where your hands are. So the top of your head comes down and the hands are cradling that kind of flat bit. But as you go into your journey, you'll find like, okay, I need to have my hands like a little bit here, a little bit there. But that's a general guide for you to start. So taking our arms down, interlace the hands. Top of the head comes down, pushing the floor away. Push the floor away. Take a deep breath in, tuck the toes. And as you exhale, lift the bottom up, just like we did when we came into our dolphin. Maybe walk the feet in pushing the floor away. Don't walk the feet in too far just yet. Keep pushing the floor away and hold here for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Engage the belly. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower the knees down. Untuck the toes. Take up, close the business deal. Lengthen the neck. And then as you exhale, come down into a child's pose. Take a deep breath in. Long, slow breath out. Soften the face. Usually when we go upside down or any kind of balancing, we tend to hold our breath, because somewhere ingrained in us is that if we hold our breath, we'll find more stillness. But the breath really needs to support the pose. So if you found yourself holding your breath, check in with that as you go through your headstand journey. Just keep checking in, like, am I breathing? Breathing how you want to feel. Strong, calm, nourished, sturdy breaths. Expansive maybe. Whatever the way that is, it anchors you to your strength and to your asana, to your pose. If that was in any way challenging for you to be upside down, or you felt lots of pressure on your head and you struggled to bring your arms out, or you're feeling kind of tight in the hamstrings, that is your headstand. Maybe you do some more hamstring opening if it was that, coming into some down dogs or forward folds. If you just know that you have tight hamstrings in general, like it's going to take you a full day of hamstring stretching to open them up, then you can take a block down onto the floor and use that for the extra height. so that your bottom can come up a bit higher. But for most of us, just allowing time and patience on the journey to open up and strengthen. Next step. If you're still drilling the first step with me, then awesome. Keep pushing the floor away. If you're drilling the second step, again, where we just walk the toes in one step, we're pushing the floor away and we have the top of the head on the mat, then amazing. The next step, taking our ritual. Elbows down, interlace hands, top of the head to the mat, cradling. Pushing the floor away, shoulders away from ears. Take a deep breath in to tuck the toes. And as you exhale, lift the bottom up. And walk the feet in. Pushing the floor away. Holding here. Pushing the floor away so there's no pressure in the neck to alleviate. Let's say that's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Walking the feet back out. Lowering the knees down. Close a business deal. Sunbathe. And exhale, child's pose. Take a deep breath in. Slow, long breath out. Gently lifting up whenever you're ready. Again, if that's felt challenging for you to walk the feet in close, what you're trying to do is bring the bottom above the hips so that you're not trying to lift the legs and stack the hips at the same time. All you're essentially doing is lifting the legs and the bottom is already in line. So you're basically bringing yourself halfway in. You're halfway in to headstand. So celebrating wherever you are. If you're still running the first, second drill, awesome. You're building loads of strength if you've been doing that since we started. So congratulations. Next step. If you're coming with me on the next part of the journey, if your headstand is already, you're working on your headstand already, you know where you are, maybe doing it that bit again and coming with me, but stopping at your own edge. Taking the ritual. Preparing. Forearms pushing away. Even so much so that you're lifting the head almost. I know in my teacher always says that you should be able to slide a piece of paper underneath your head. I'll talk a bit more about that later, but that's how much you're pushing away. That headstand really isn't necessarily a headstand. It's more weight in that triangle that you've created, and that's how you decompress or have less pressure on the neck. So forearms down, interlace hands, head on the mat, lift the bottom, walking the feet in, pushing, squeezing, and then lifting one foot, knee into the chest. So I'm not lifting my leg into the air, knee in towards my chest, squeezing heel to bum. Then lowering that foot down and lifting the other one. Squeezing in, pushing the floor away. And then just switch between the two. Keep the shoulders away from the ears, squeezing in. Even yourself out. And then walk the feet back a step so that you can lower the knees. Lift up, find that length in the neck. Cradling the head. And as you exhale, come down into child's pose. Deep breath in. Long, slow breath out. Lifting up when you're ready. So, if you found that a real challenge to draw the knee into the chest, to bend the knee in, which is where, for a lot of people, if you practice yoga regularly and you have kind of strong arms and strong forearms and stuff, that getting up into headstand is usually where a lot of us spend most of our, well, not most of our headstand journey, but that, for me anyway, I found was once I got that part down, the rest of the headstand kind of came more naturally. But this was the kind of the pivot, the turning point. That's the word I'm looking for. This was the turning point. So working on being able to bring the knees in, squeeze it in, squeeze it in, squeeze it in, squeeze it in, lowering, lowering. And remember not to rush yourself, not to pressure yourself. And we're not flinging up and we're not using momentum. So working on that engagement, that core central line of squeezing everything in, pushing and squeezing. Okay? So the next step, if you're working, switching the feet, stay there. If you're working on your shoulder strength still, maybe it's time for a break. But if you're feeling okay, take a sip of water and you can keep drilling. I don't like to call it drilling, but you keep doing your practice with us as we continue. Grabbing opposite arms, forearms down. Walking the feet in. Find a focus point. So, hang on. That's just a good point that's a good point that I've made. Sometimes in class or when I'm working one-to-one with people on their headstands, there's a point where I'm like, I'm not really sure what's going on. I've spoken to them and we're trying to kind of like work into their headstand. And I'll come around and I'll look and their eyes are closed. Where their eyes are closed or their eyes are going everywhere. Most of us know from balancing poses that when you stand on one leg and look everywhere, it's harder to balance. When you stand on one leg and close your eyes, it automatically becomes harder to balance. When you stand on one leg and focus, the stillness is more achievable. So it's the same. Just because we're upside down doesn't mean that changes. We're still essentially balancing. We're still in Tadasana. We're still doing all of the same work. We're just upside down. So finding those reference points and those memories in the body that we've learned from the rest of our practice and bringing them here. Focus point. Find a focus point. Okay, now we're going to go on to the next step. Take a deep breath in. Tuck the toes as you exhale. Lift the bottom. Walking the feet in. Drawing one knee in. Push the elbows into the floor. And then lifting the other knee in. Squeezing. Pushing. Squeezing. Pushing. Squeeze the bottom. Lift the pelvic floor. Draw the belly in. Draw the heels towards the bum. Deep breath. Hold here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lowering the feet down. Knees down. Finding that length in the head, the neck. And as you exhale, coming down into child's pose. One deep breath in. Slow breath out. And then gently walking the hands back up slowly so that we don't get dizzy. Finding a focus point really helps. I have handy spots on my mat. If I'm ever doing it like outside, then I'll find a blade of grass. Or if your floor is a little dusty, no judgments, but find a piece of dust. Find something to focus on. Sometimes I embody that. I'm like, I am the piece of grass. I am the piece of fluff, you know, so I can, anyway, that's a personal journey, a personal way that I anchor to my present moment. It might sound very strange, but whatever anchors you, breath, body scanning, visualization, focus points, or a mixture of all of them. If you found that a struggle, challenge, a lot of hard work to draw and hold the legs in, it's totally normal. It takes a lot of effort. But if you are unable to hold it, then that's your practice. That is your headstand. You're in a headstand. You are in a headstand. You just don't have any legs right now. And that's awesome. So huge congratulations to everyone. If I'm talking to you, you are in a headstand. You just don't have any legs. And so that's awesome. Celebrate it. Okay? If you're on your journey, that's awesome that you're on this journey. Congratulations. And I mean that, like, huge congratulations. It takes courage to start something that you don't know. It takes courage to face your fear. It takes courage to explore your body, a practice, something new. So celebrate that and have joy in the fact that you're trying something new, and congratulate yourself for that. If this part, particularly getting the second foot up, is a challenge, it's usually fear more than anything. There is an element of the strength of the core and the engagement, but it's usually fear. So take yourself to the wall, closer to the wall, so that if you bring that foot up and you start to go, there is nowhere that you're going to go. And so you might be able to lift your second foot up, fall into the wall a little bit, and then find your equilibrium. And then what you can do from there, so let's do that. Lifting up one foot and then falling into the wall, right? And then you can bring, okay, so I'm going to bring my foot, find this, squeeze it, and then I'm going to use this to bring it in. And then maybe you go again, oh, I'm going to go and bring it back in. Keep pushing through the arms, but use the wall not to skip. Not to skip a step, not to be like, oh cool, now I can put my leg in the air and just skip that whole step. The reason that we're running through all these things, the reason that we're running through all of these steps is to build foundation and build choices, build in places where we can choose. So it's our choice that we come up. And when it's our choice that we come up, we can equally choose when we come down. If we allow it to be sheer luck, sheer chance, or momentum that brings us up, then the exact same thing is going to bring us down. Chance, luck, momentum, gravity, science, whatever. Whatever got you up, it's going to be what brings you down. It's like usually if you have a person that helps you get up, then you usually need their help to get down. Like if you jump up onto a wall, you usually want that person there to help you get down, or you need them to help you get down. So the reason that we're building all this is so that we have independence in our practice and we have choices. I choose to come up in a controlled manner, and I can choose to come down in a controlled manner. And when we have that, fear goes out of the window, or at least dissipates, or is at least something that we know we have some kind of control over, ownership of, or if it's not that, we can at least put it to the side, knowing that we trust we understand what we're doing. Fear also comes from a lack of understanding and the unknown. So if we know, well, I'm doing this, then this, and this is the mechanics, the fear can be put to the side for a second. The fear can be told to hop it. Okay. Next step. So if you're working on your tucking into a little ball, like a little light bulb, button mushroom, whatever thing, stay there. If you're coming with me, take our rituals, interlace the hands, head on the mat, squeeze elbows towards each other, push floor away. Inhale, tuck toes, lift bottom, walking. Lift one leg, lift the other leg. Squeeze the bottom, squeeze the knees together, squeeze the belly in. For the first time that you lift up, lift one leg up. And don't lift it out, just as if it's a seed growing out of the soil, just straighten it up. Then lower it back into your chest and do the other one. Pushing the floor away, I have my focus point, I'm squeezing my center line. Then maybe you lift the other leg up to join it. Then lowering one, then lowering the other, lowering the feet down, the knees. Find that length and a child's pose. Deep breath in, full breath out. Gently walking the hands up. So we go one by one when we first do it, because usually when we lift both legs up at the first chance that we get, we realize that we have two appendages that are going up and we get overwhelmed. We get like, oh my God, but I have to keep this leg straight and this leg straight. By going up one by one, there's less for the body to figure out, like left and right. And when you're upside down, all of that can get really, you don't know what's left and right, what's up, what's down. Someone says like, move your foot. You have no idea what your foot is. And so just giving the body less to contend with when we're initially coming up into headstand is the key for me personally. And that's what I'm sharing with you. So if you find that you have a brain melt, a mind melt when you're going upside down trying to lift both legs up, I suggest going one, then the other, one, then the other. Then if you feel sturdy enough and you feel your base is strong enough, lifting the other leg to join it and then coming down one by one as well. Awesome. Huge congratulations. As with the other one, using the wall, taking my ritual, not letting you rush me, lifting the bottom up, lifting one leg, lifting the other, pushing one leg up, and then if I think like, I'm going because I started to lift this leg, I use that not to skip a step, but just to re-find that balance. So I'm not using it here and going, okay, awesome, and kind of throwing all my form out and then using it as a crutch to kind of do whatever. I just use it to go refocus and then learn the step. Create my independence. And then maybe you come here just to rest so that you can bring the knee down, straighten that leg again. We're not missing the learning, the journey. We're not using it as a crutch. So not using the wall to skip, Not using the wall as a crutch that we are going to want to have then every single time, and we will be dependent on the wall every time we want to go upside down and do a headstand. Bear in mind that you will want the wall around for a while for the fear element, just to know it's there. I know personally when I felt that, I found the wall just really helped, because I could just really work on form without my mind going, better not mess this up, because if you do, you're going to fall. You better not mess this up, because if you do, you're going to fall. I had the wall there for a while, a good long while, through all of these steps, all of them. And sometimes I still like to come towards the wall if I'm trying something new with my legs, or if I'm just feeling like, I want to go upside down, but I'm not feeling like so high energy today, and I'm not like, I like to have it there sometimes, but it's a choice. I'm not dependent on the wall anymore, because I created that independence, and I connected to my body, and I learnt the lessons. I saw what came up, and I worked with it, rather than just using the wall as my kind of excuse or my crutch or whatever. Next step would be lifting both the legs together. When we lift both the legs together, like I said, it can get confusing for the body. It can be overwhelmed, because you're trying to control two long things, right? Whether or not you think you have long legs, they're quite long in comparison to other stuff that we're dealing with. This is why the block work with the inner thighs, I like to connect. I like to do maybe like inner thigh, like leg lifts, adductor kind of work, because then you can zip your legs together. You have that connection, like we did in Tadasana when I was saying, draw the thighs up and in, because then you have one big leg made out of two legs, and it's less confusing when you feel your legs splitting apart, or kind of one going that way and one going up. Zip them together and grow like a seed. It's a good analogy, but I'm not sure if I'm going to regret that later, right? Growing up. So we're not coming out and swinging them up. We're staying on this plane, moving in one plane. Lifting up, lifting down with one big leg made of two legs. Taking our elbows down, checking, elbows distance apart, interlacing the hands. Top of the head comes down. Shoulders automatically drawing back from the ears. So we have a neck, we're not a turtle. Pushing the floor away. Lifting up, deep breaths. Lifting one foot, then the other. Squeezing. Finding a focus, not rushing. Squeeze the inner thighs together. Squeeze the forearms towards each other. Take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, start to lift up one big leg. The exhale helps engage the core. Squeezing the bottom. Feel that sensation like we did in Tadasana. Lengthening the crown of the head, which is now the toes, away. Engaging center line. Strong, sturdy feet. Focused, nourishing breaths, and a soft face. Deep breath in, and exhale, bending the knees back into the chest, squeezing, and then lowering the feet down, lengthening the neck. You can even take the thumbs into the creases of the neck to lengthen, and then exhale, child's pose. Take a deep breath in. Open the mouth. Congratulations. Headstand. With that, you can also use the wall as well. So if you start to lift your big leg up, I remember I did this in the live. If you start to lift your big, it looks rude. If you lift your big leg up and you're starting to grow and one breaks away, you have the wall, bring it back and continue from there. So don't let the leg break away, you shoot it up and then you bring it and join it and you skip that whole journey, because the journey is where you learn, like, okay, I need to engage this more, I need to do that more, I'm not breathing when I do that, and that's why. Whereas if you skip that out, that will more than likely keep happening. So using the wall to assist, to pause, maybe to take rest if you think like, okay, my core isn't engaged, I just need a second of support to re-center, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to create my independence. So this is headstand hair. The crazier the hair, the better the practice, right? So that was headstand. If you have any compression in the neck, I would say working on arm, shoulder strength, making sure you're really pushing the floor away. But something that I want to add here is that can also depend on proportions. The length of your upper arms. So when I bring my arms overhead, let's say that I'm doing my thing, and then I push my ponytail. I'm going to push the floor away. You can see, minus the ponytail, you can see that I can elevate my forearms above my head. I've let go of that, but that's going into more of a different thing. But so if I keep my hands on the back of my head, I can elevate so much so my forearms away, keeping my shoulders down, that they're slightly above the top of my head. If your arms are shorter, you physically are not going to be able to push your head off of the mat. This means that headstand for you is slightly more challenging on the neck. It's a choice whether you work into it still, but what you're going to have to do is focus a lot more on being present. Am I feeling compression in my neck? Then I need to come down. Yes, there's strengthening for the neck, strengthening in the arms and all of that, but staying even more present in the neck. Your journey might be slightly longer because you have to be more cautious. Some people, the headstand's just not for them because of proportionally, and you don't want to take a risk, or it just feels bad. It feels bad. Like, if headstand didn't feel good for me, I wouldn't have kept coming back to it and exploring it, but it made me feel great to go upside down. If it doesn't make you feel good, and this is coming from somewhere that of a proof or of an ego, but somewhere it doesn't feel good, then don't go on the journey. Don't stop where it feels good. Maybe you're like enjoying the arm strengthening or the core bit, and just stay there for a breath, 2, do the drills. But staying up there for 10 breaths and starting to play around with like leg variations and stuff like that might not feel good for you, and that's okay. And you can say, hi, I don't like headstands, so I don't do them. That's fine. That's fine. Proportions change poses as well. Lots of times, and it's true that the more that, we practice and we turn up, we can improve and learn and grow, and especially when we're just thinking about the physical practice, there's a lot of practice makes perfect talk. Bear in mind that we all have different proportions and orientations in our body. So you might not be able to externally rotate your arms so much, or internally rotate your arms so much, or the legs, internal and external rotation might be different. Nothing to do with practice or your dedication or your presence and awareness of breath, just literally a physical thing that means that your body is not able to rotate that way. Proportionally, you're not going to be able to grow your forearms, and no amount of practice will change that. And that's where the rest of our yoga practice comes into play, not just the physical asana, but the acceptance of ourselves, the acceptance of our journey, the acceptance, the love, the patience, overcoming the ego, kind of quietening or not identifying with the mind so much, saying that you're rubbish because you can't do that, or why was I made this way, or that's where the rest of the practice comes in. So you can work into your headstand, and your headstand might always be one breath, or two breaths, or the first bit. Or your inversion might look totally different, and your inversion might be a wide-legged forward fold, or legs in the air, shoulder stand. And that's amazing, because you made a choice. Just like I was talking about choices, being able to create independence and choices, you made a choice that works for you, that works for your body, your practice, your journey, for you as an individual. And that is more incredible to see that sometimes than to see, the most gravity-defying inversion. It's rarer, I think, a lot of the time. So making choices that work for you. This has been Headstand 101. I hope you've all ended with beautiful headstand hair like me, opening up the shoulders. Perhaps you have some questions. If you do, let me know in the comments or send me a message. If there's anything else that you want to see, let me know. After we've done a few of these headstands things together, or you've sent me videos of your progress, then we can start to maybe look at different ways we can enter, or different things that we can do when we're upside down. And that one will be, just a little bit more like flourishes and stuff like that, or just ways to work on the position differently. If you've reached an edge and you want to further your journey, further your learning about your body and yourself. So, congratulations on your class. Congratulations on your headstand, whatever it looked like. I promise to celebrate my headstand, whatever it looks like. Celebrate yourself, celebrate your journey, celebrate turning up, celebrate learning something new, celebrate every single thing that you just did for yourself. Even celebrate, if you fell, because if you fell, you learned something. It meant that you were trying. It meant that you now have, taken a step along the journey. And you also learned that it's not necessarily as bad as you think. Set up a crash pad. Maybe you learned that you need to set up a crash pad. Thank you for sharing your time with me. I will see you very soon. Have an awesome day. Drink lots of water. Nourish your body with breath. Nourish your body with water. And I will see you very soon.